Hey everybody, and welcome to the RC Retro channel. The RC10, probably one of the most iconic RC cars of all times, gets restored in this episode. It's going to get a proper cleaning and then a box art body, much like the one you see to my right. Now I purchased this back in early April, a few months back, but right before I purchased this one, I purchased another RC10. And of course I unboxed that one and I put it up on my channel, and literally a day after that, someone posted this in one of the Facebook groups dedicated to RC10s, saying that they are original owner and that they have an excellent to mint condition RC10 that will clean up nicely. All it needs is a little TLC. So I jumped on that one and I negotiated, which I thought was a very fair price. And sure enough, when I pulled this out of the box, the owner was not lying. Besides there being a couple screws that don't belong in here, right away there were no scratches or gouges, and I was like blown away. I could not believe how great the condition was of this. And then as I started to really closely look at this, my eyes were drawn to this area of the car right over here, where I noticed there was this perfect circular mark in the chassis. And when I ran my finger over it, kind of felt like it was concave. And so I turned it over, and on the other side, sure enough, I could see it. It was a perfect circle that is etched into the chassis. And so why I mentioned the other RC10 I purchased right before this is because I went to that one and carefully inspected that one and noticed that that too had the circular marks in the chassis, although very faint, not as pronounced as this one. And so I took pictures of both chassis with those marks and put them on a Facebook group that's dedicated to RC10, and some people got back to me and told me that that's part of the factory process when they are being stamped or being drilled out. And when the car is being stamped, whether it's the A, B, or C chassis over the course of history, and that's a whole nother discussion for another time, they were put into a vise to be held and stamped, or they were put into a vise to go through the multi-drill machine where they drilled out all these holes. And so it was quite possible that when it was put into the vise, it was put in a little too tight, making this circular mark a little too pronounced. And so it is a factory defect, I guess. And you know, somebody wrote to me saying, oh, since it's like a one-of-a-kind factory defect, you could probably get a lot more money for it online and bump up the price a couple $100. And that is not the case, because I am not going to sell this. I am going to restore this, and it is going to be like a trophy car for me, or a shelf queen, as everyone likes to call it. But sure enough, if you look at your RC10s, and you're probably all going to run to your basements or your work areas now to look it over and be like, I never even noticed that. Well, it is there. And I know that for a fact because I look at my other RC10s that I own, and this one I'm going to throw up a picture. That circular ring is there in the corner, and it's very, very faint. And then my Championship Edition, which was released a few years after the RC10, also has those rings in it as well. And so while these RC10s have those rings that are very, very slight that you probably didn't even notice are on yours, and I didn't even notice them on mine, this one has, you know, I guess a factory defect, right? Like I said earlier. So, all right, so plans for this, I'm going to get all the plastic pieces off and put them through the ultrasonic cleaner and see how it cleans up. And then from there, I'm going to decide if I want to do a hydrogen peroxide bath. And I did a hydrogen peroxide bath on this one and had really good results. And if you're wondering what that is basically you take off all the plastic pieces, all the nylon pieces that have oxidized over the year and that, you know, have kind of turned yellow, and you put them into a glass jar with hydrogen peroxide, and you let them sit and bake in the sun, and the hydrogen peroxide will take out the yellow. Now, some people say that it makes the pieces brittle, and you know, if you plan on running it, you might snap a couple of these pieces. But for me, like I said, I am making this a trophy car, and it's going to be sitting on the shelf, so I don't have to really worry about that. But I don't even know if I'm going to do that hydrogen peroxide bath. I have to see how these pieces clean up first. And they're very gritty and grimy, but the ultrasonic cleaner seems to do the trick. So let's get this started and enjoy the video. So the RC10 has been taken apart and it has been cleaned, and it definitely wasn't as simple as I thought it was going to be. The other RC10 that I bought not too long before this one, that I actually cleaned up and moved on and sold to get some money to fund some other projects, that one cleaned up easily, looked awesome. And so going into this one, I thought it was going to be the exact same thing, and it definitely was not. The original owner, I want to say, created a very sticky and greasy mess, and as I was taking this apart, I realized I was in a world of trouble. Every screw had thread lock or Loctite on it, and I know that you use that stuff when you put screws into metal to hold them in there so they don't back out. But going into the nylon plastic, he used that stuff. So if you look closely at some of the holes in the pieces, it's a little bit red still on the inside, and I tried very hard with the ultrasonic cleaner to get that out, to really warm it up, because I read online that if you warm it up, you could possibly scrub it off. So I used a very, very thin cleaning brush, almost like a pipe cleaner, once it came out of the ultrasonic cleaner, to get in there and try and get it out. And for the most part, I did, but it left a little bit of a reddish tinge in there. So as far as the grease, well, they used grease in every ball cup. So as I was taking the ball cups off, it was a mess. So I had to use a little degreaser on a Q-tip to get into the ball cups to clean them out first, and then I put them into the ultrasonic cleaner. So yeah, it definitely wasn't easy like I thought it was going to be. So all right, well, this is taken apart now, and based on the coloring of all the parts, I am decided to give it a hydrogen peroxide bath. So luckily enough, I did find some hydrogen peroxide at my local CVS. I actually had to go to 2 CVS's because the first one I went to did not have it. And then I went to the second one, and they happened to have gotten in a delivery, and they had 2 bottles sitting on the shelf. So I quickly snagged those and threw them in my basket and got out of there with that. And that's more than enough, having 2 bottles of hydrogen peroxide. So, all right, let the restoration continue. Well, here she is, 100% completed. And it only took me about half a year. And I'm not kidding around. Because if you remember at the beginning of the video, I put something at the bottom about hydrogen peroxide and it being early in the summer, I want to say around July. And I was working on this a little bit on and off because I kept getting sidetracked with other projects over the summer and a lot of racing over at Harry's house. And so I was doing a little bit over time. And then next thing you know, the fall rolled around and I decided I don't want to do the body myself. And at that point, I contacted Andy Jacobson, awesome painter who painted for Team Associated a bunch of bodies and still does today. Very, very talented. Love his work. And so I contacted him and I was like, dude, could you do me a box art body where all the blue and pink pinstriping is actually painted on rather than putting the stickers on? He said yes. And of course, that was in the beginning of September. And it took about 2 months for me to get the body. So here it is. I get the body in November. And then as I'm putting together the video, my external hard drive craps out on me. So all the video footage that was on the external hard drive, I couldn't access it. I had to send the external hard drive to data recovery services, and I had to wait about a month to get that back, to get all my data. Fingers crossed the entire time, and of course, they were able to save my my film footage, and now I'm able to put the whole video together. So here it is, and I'm extremely pleased with how it came out. As far as all that red, I'm not going to say dye, but how the nylon plastic kind of turned a little bit red because they put Loctite in there. Well, the ultrasonic cleaner didn't get it out, but when I gave it that hydrogen peroxide bath, all that red disappeared. And the parts came out excellent. I did not leave them in there too long because I didn't want the nylon pieces to turn white, because the Team Associated parts were never white. They always had like that, I want to say, like a little bit of a yellowish tinge to them, kind of like a bone. So a lot of people will leave their parts in way too long in a hydrogen peroxide bath and it'll get white, and definitely don't want that. But altogether, awesome. The only thing I am missing from here is a gear cover. I have a clear one. However, I'm looking for the period correct one because this is not an Edinger or an early Edinger. This is a Cadillac, so I'm looking for the transparent, almost like the frosty, not really frosty, is that the best word I'm looking for? Well, I'll just throw a picture up and you can see what it is. And that's the gear cover I'm looking for. So hopefully I'll get one of those in a little bit just to complete this. But all in all, it's awesome. The wheels are in awesome condition. I don't even think they were ever used. The tread on here, like I said, looks brand new. And altogether, the body, Andy, awesome. This is an actual RC10. I'm not going to say reproduction body that, other people put out on eBay. This is one of the RC10 bodies that you were able to get with the RC10 re-release classic that came out about 8 years ago. So this is an authentic Team Associated RC10 body. So the dimensions on here are a little bit better than the reproduction one. So it fits nicely. So awesome. And again, all I had to do was put my own stickers on here from MCI. So altogether, I am in love with this thing. It is awesome. And of course, in amazing condition. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this restoration video of the RC10. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I can use your support. That's like my go-to line right there. All right, everybody. Take care and be well, and I'll see you all in my next video.
Let's go, let's go!